Well, hello everybody, it's Richard here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is Monday the 11th of May 2020 and the weather today is turned much colder. Although I'm in a t-shirt, I certainly wouldn't be wearing shorts, and in fact when I went out today for my normal run, Monday, Wednesday, Friday run, I did actually have the warmer stuff on and even a hat to keep my head warm because it was blowing a gale out there, very blustery, but still very pleasant, but we're not into the summer, and certainly you couldn't sit outside as we have the last few days in this country, and so much cooler. And in fact I haven't done any work outside because the wind's been too great, and I've been catching up on work-wise things, emails and so forth, and also catching up about what the government have been saying about the lockdown. Now, as I reported yesterday, we were expecting our Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson, to give us some steer, some clue as to what was going to be taking place to release the brakes a bit, as I put it. What we received was a slightly confused statement in which there are certain things going to be happening on this roadmap, sort of a period 1, 2 and 3, but nothing really that concrete, and in fact nothing has much changed. You know, the instead of stay at home, we get stay active now, which really doesn't say a great deal to me, and I think it confused a lot of the public as well. Certainly running this morning, I happened to notice that there was a lot more traffic on the roads, and I think people have taken it to his statement as being that you can now meet in groups of the same family and take as much exercise as you like and use your car as being a sort of a catch-all to carry on as normal. You can go back to work if you can, but avoiding public transport is the advice. Otherwise, the message is still stay at home, and I think that message really should have been given out. So much so that both First Ministers of Wales and Scotland have stuck to that particular message: stay at home, protect lives and protect the NHS. And I think that would have been a better way of doing things. And there's going to be a statement tonight at 7 o'clock as to the detail. Things are being asked in Parliament at the moment. I've been watching the Parliament live stream. Keir Starmer, the leader of the opposition, is doing a good job in holding Mr. Boris Johnson to account, and in a concise, educated way. And I think that's what's needed really. And so are other MPs, including good old Jeremy Corbyn, who I haven't got much time for, who was the previous leader of the Labour Party. So we wait and see, basically. My view is, in my tweets, if you're following me on Twitter today, you will probably notice that I've been tweeting about the care sector, and also on LinkedIn I've been putting statements there, as well as on Facebook. And really my view is that nothing has changed. We need to continue. This disease, or this virus, is extremely nasty, and I was listening to Radio 4 this morning, and there was patients there who've actually been in hospital up to 6 weeks and are still not very well, and leaving hospital are very debilitating. A lot of them are still in ICU, and a lot of people have got lots of other problems, such as kidney failure problems as well, which will be with them quite a long time, if not for the rest of their lives. So this virus is very nasty, and Britain is the highest number of cases in Europe. The United States of America has over 80,000 cases now, and in Britain we've had a death rate of 31,000 just over, and I expect that is likely to rise. Care homes are taking the brunt of that and are in the front line of that, and slowly I think they will outstrip hospital deaths as well. So it's not a very particular pleasant time to be around, but if you observe social distancing, then I think things will be fine. Certainly when I went to Waitrose today to do my normal Monday shopping, the trolleys were linked when you had to use a token to get the trolley out, which was something they'd released previously, and also there weren't any queues there. And I spoke to the lady that was serving me at the counter, and she'd also noticed a large amount of traffic on the roads coming into work, and we had a conversation about that. Schools are hopefully going back to probably in June. That's the junior schools, that's over what we have over here. But of course all of this is subject to the R, that's the level of transmission between one person and another, coming down. At the moment it's below 1, and we need to keep it that way. So just thought I'd update you about what's happening here in the UK, and if you're a UK member you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So something else that I was going to talk to you about today was the video. I did watch The Good Liar last night, and I've got mixed feelings about this. If you've already seen it you'll know what I mean. It turns out that Helen Mirren and Ian McKellen have actually met before, and I won't spoil the plot if you haven't watched it, but some of it seemed a little bit improbable to me, but it may be just me. I give it an 8 out of 10. I'd certainly watch it again, probably on television. Yes, I mean they're fantastic actors. I mean, and also one of the best things of all was Ross Tovey was in this as the grandson of Helen Mirren, so called, and that turns out to be not quite the case towards the end. I'm a great friend, which I was, a great follower of Russell Tovey, and been following him since the days he was in The History Boys. Some of you may remember that, and so forth. But yes, otherwise a good watch. It was a good evening watch, and I didn't turn it off. I stuck to it to the end. I didn't have trouble doing that, but I'm not sure whether I'd watch it again. So no, I just talked to you about that. The YouTube of the day today is going to be through the glass, and this is a YouTube channel that Sam runs, and Sam likes high performance cars. He's got a Porsche, and he lives in London, and he's just done Drive the World, a challenge that he's put on himself and his girlfriend, and they've been to 25 countries, visiting all manner of places, right the way through to Hong Kong. They went to the Philippines, they went to Australia, New Zealand, all over the place, driving his famous Porsche, which was shipped out there, and also visiting lots of museums, also high performance cars, testing others out, Lamborghinis. So if you're into that sort of thing, his channel is definitely the best to watch, and he's got a particular manner, way of doing things as well, which I find quite nice as well. And and he's a really nice guy, and he does a really good job with his channel, so I wish him all the best. And I'll put a link to his channel there, and you'll be able to see and judge for yourself as always. But I did enjoy watching his latest update, which was a sort of a montage of his trip around the world with his girlfriend. So that's that. What else was I going to say? Oh yes, car magazine. Talking about cars, that's right, the segue nicely into that. I've got the latest What Car, new versus used here, and there was a couple of very good articles here. And apart from that, one of the other things I thought was rather of interest, and that is the unwritten rules. In the UK we have these, I'm sure other countries do, but there's a particularly good article in here about unwritten rules, you know, like flashing your lights to allow another driver to come on, or putting your four-way flashers on to thank somebody, and that type of thing. Anyway, it's a bit of a myth buster, because some of those rules actually could confuse, and some actually aren't part of the highway code. In fact, none of these are part of the highway code. There was even a good article there about when you're on the motorway, and I use the M25 an awful lot in my work, allowing other drivers to come on, which I always do, but find it hard sometimes when trying to enter a motorway myself from a junction and vehicles don't pull over when clearly there's a gap for them to do so. So you almost end up running into the hard shoulder if there still is one. So yes, it suggests that you should, if you're driving up the motorway and there's no way to pull over, that you just slow down, let the vehicles in, which is what I do, which is good driving practice. And I think I've been driving for over 40 years now, and I think that's you know, some of this stuff is common sense to me and good driving practice. But this magazine is available in the newsagents and certainly worth getting. The other one I was interested in, I'll just sort of make a note of that, was about, which is why I bought it, was really about the coronavirus and how that affects motoring through the pandemic, it's called. And I'll put a picture of that particular piece there, and it goes into all the things that you should need to do. Are car dealers open? Shall I buy a new car? Can I get delivered during the coronavirus lockdown? And it goes into all sorts of detail here about cleaning your car as well. Well, all this is commonsensical to me, but I thought, and also what to do if you're not using your vehicle for a number of days. like weeks. So what I do, for example, with my little fleet out there, I make sure I take them for a run on Friday and start them up, let them run for about 5 minutes, and then take them round the back roads and then come home again, so that the battery gets a chance to get a bit of a charge, and also make sure that the tyre pressures are okay, check the water, check the oil, that type of stuff, common sense things really. And also one of the biggest headaches I have is bird shit, and make sure that's removed, because I'm out there every day. Though I'm a great one for wildlife, I think some wildlife need to keep away from my vehicles. Why is it always my car that gets it, not my neighbours? But it always seems like that. Hey ho. So that's that one. The other thing is I've got a small bank near the where the garage is, and you saw those pictures of me refurbishing the garage door yesterday. And so you'll see I'll put a picture of the bank there. It falls away onto the drive, which I had renewed about a couple of years ago. So I've invested in some little sedum plants, these ones here. They come in this rather not, there's 12 altogether. This is mixed sedum, and you'll see already from the photograph that there are actually some sedums already growing there, and this will help hold the bank together. So I'm going to plant these up when the weather's a little better, and hopefully that will solve the problem, but also give a very nice aesthetic look as well to the edge of that drive. But these I got on Amazon. I think they were quite reasonably priced, possibly about £14 or something, quite cheap, and they look really good in their little plastic containers. They're called plugs, and anybody who's into gardening will know that this is probably the best way to buy them, because they're already been propagated, and you can then put them in, and they'll take nicely. So I'll be looking after those, but looking forward to that. The bank itself has got lots of roots underneath it, so you can't really get a good deep trowel in there, because there was a large conifer tree which I had removed, must be 2 years ago now, and those roots are quite extensive. So these little fellas need to get in between those, and they will take. I've got some very nice daffodils that I managed to get in, and they've been coming for a couple of years and give a really nice show. There's a lovely magnolia tree that comes every year with the most amazing scent, but normally it comes very quickly and then it's gone once the sun comes up and the heat gets at it. And also there's some lavender, and I was cleaning the car the other day. I could smell this lovely lavender smell that was coming over. So I'm quite a keen gardener when it comes to certain things, but I just thought I'd share that with you. Okay, so what else was I going to mention? Oh yes, the thing itself. Right, the record of the day. Right, another novelty one. This is on the Imperial label. Quite an old record this. Probably might even be before 1925, maybe. I will check it out. But it's a good copy. It's Tiptoe Through the Tulips with Me, and it's sung by Sid Gary, and it's from the film The Gold Diggers of Broadway. So it's quite a nice record. That the B-side is Painting the Clouds with Sunshine, which I thought was quite nice, and that's from the same film. So Imperial label are quite an early label that for 78s. It's not a bad copy. There is some surface noise on this, but you would expect that for the age of the record. But I think it's rather nice. It's been in my collection. One of those ones when I was a lad, and I quite liked it, so I held on to it. So that's the record of the day to keep coronavirus away. And then just to mention also the Sounds of Time on the Oral label. This is The Reckoning, and this is a really nice recording. John Snagg gives a really good overview. You hear Goering pleading not guilty at Nuremberg. You hear about Churchill losing the election directly after the war, and Clement Attlee on there. And then you hear about William Joyce, the guy I've got a bit of an interest in, who used to be Lord Haw-Haw on the radio, part of Goebbels' propaganda machine, and that he's no more because he was hung after he was tried for treason. But yeah, really nice copy of that, so listen in and enjoy. So I think that's about all really. I don't think I've got any more to say. If you have been commenting, if I haven't got back to you, then I will do. And don't forget to subscribe. You can follow me on social media as well, so don't forget to do that. That's on LinkedIn or Twitter. And if you want to apply to be a Facebook friend, I will consider it, and certainly done that. And so even today, who was I talking to? Neil, I think it is, who's from South Africa, who's got the most amazing gramophones, and he's joined my Facebook page, and I'm going to tune into his broadcast that he does from his lounge with some really nice machines. His latest one was a HMV 104, I think it was. Sounded really nice too. It's very similar to the sound you get from the Decca 73 here. But until tomorrow, do take care, stay safe, all the best, and see you soon. Bye for now. A tune a day to keep the coronavirus away. Novelty record on the Imperial label. Vocal Tiptoe Through the Tulips with Me from the film The Gold Diggers Broadway, sung by Sid Gary. Enjoy.
Willow trees are weeping, old folks and babies are sleeping. Silver stars are gleaming, all alone I'm scheming to get you out here, my dear one. Tiptoe to the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Tiptoe from your pillow to the shadow of a willow tree, and tiptoe through the tulips with me. Knee-deep in flowers we'll stray, we'll keep the showers away. And if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me? Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. And if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me? Come tiptoe through the tulips with me.
The Sounds of Time, The Reckoning, Side 8.
When, at midnight on August the 14th, 15th, 1945, Britain's Prime Minister came to the microphone to announce the surrender of Japan, the voice we heard was the voice not of Winston Churchill, but of Clement Attlee.
Yesterday, the Japanese, the last of our enemies, whose ambitions plunged the world into so much bloodshed and misery, signed the terms of surrender in Tokyo.
Without waiting for total victory, the British people had started a new political chapter in their island's history. From the War Cabinet, Winston Churchill had turned to the hustings of a general election to conduct a lively and hard-hitting campaign.
Socialism is in its essence an attack not only upon British enterprise, but upon the right of an ordinary man or woman to breathe freely without having a harsh, clumsy, tyrannical hand clapped across their mouths and nostrils.
Socialist leader Clement Attlee, Churchill's right hand during the war, gave his answer from the left.
We need a planned location of industry to give a balance to the country and to preserve social capital. We must have no more distressed areas. No one of these things can be effected without giving power to the government. The Prime Minister made much play last night with the rights of the individual and the danger of people being ordered about by officials. I entirely agree that people should have the greatest freedom compatible with the freedom of others. But there was a time when employers were free to work little children 16 hours a day.
When the ballots were counted, a revolution, peaceful but profound, had been ushered in. 5 months later, in Nuremberg, the leaders of another kind of revolution were arraigned before the bar of world justice to answer for their crimes against humanity. Hermann Göring was the first to plead not guilty.
Bevor ich die Frage des Gerichtshofes beantworte, ob ich mich schuldig oder nicht schuldig bekenne. You must plead guilty or not guilty. Ich bekenne mich im Sinne der Anklage nicht schuldig. Rudolf Hess.
Nein.
That will be entered as a plea of not guilty.
For a year, the trial moved along its ponderous legalistic course. Then came the judgment.
Defendant Hermann Wilhelm Göring. On the counts of the indictment on which you have been convicted, the International Military Tribunal sentences you to death by hanging. Defendant Rudolf Hess.
And on through a list of names that once spelt power and terror in Europe. Keitel, Rosenberg, Frank, Funk, Streicher. One name, the most hated of them all, was not on that list. A mild-looking schoolmaster, Heinrich Himmler, creator of the dreaded Gestapo, cheated justice with a phial of cyanide. A British sergeant major saw him die.
After a struggle lasting a quarter of an hour in which we tried all methods of artificial respiration under the direction of the doctor, he died. And when he died, we threw a blanket over him and left him.
While the free world was squaring its account with the war criminals at Nuremberg, Britain dealt with a traitor whose sardonic voice had taunted her when she stood alone.
Germany calling. Germany calling. We are continuing our news in English.
William Joyce, radio puppet of propaganda minister Goebbels, was brought back to a city that his Nazi masters had condemned to death. And with the final rejection of his appeal against the death sentence, Lord Haw-Haw's voice became a sordid memory.
Germany calling. Germany calling. Germany calling.
At last, Britain had answered.